My friends, I have great news. Spring has sprung. There's buds on the trees, there's flowers popping up through the ground, and people are flirting in the roundabouts. Have you seen this? If you are not flirting in the roundabouts, you are doing it wrong. Welcome to Pub Talk. I'm Shannon Kelly. I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. I would like to thank OSU Cascades, my MC sponsor. And also, here is an update from OSU's Cascades. They have a chance for you to invest in the future of a young person. On April 28th, you can support OSU Cascades during Damn Proud Day, OSU's 24-hour online day of giving. It's a day to show your support for our local university and our students here. There are 3 important priorities this year: student scholarships. Many students would not be able to attend OSU Cascades without a scholarship, and it's as simple as that. The Student Emergency Fund, which we all know it's been a challenging year, right? The fund provides a stopgap to students in need of food, housing, and childcare so that they can stay in school. And third, the DEI Lab. The lab is in demand. You can help expand social equity and inclusion training to organizations in Central Oregon and beyond. So on April 28th, support any of these important initiatives at OSU Cascades. Any size gift will make a big difference. Go Beavs. We are able to host Pub Talk tonight, both in person and virtually, thanks to our generous event sponsors. This is one of my favorite parts of Pub Talk, I'll be very honest. So first up, I'm going to introduce to you Taylor Thompson, Vice President, Commercial Banking Officer at Columbia Bank. Hey, Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining online and in person. Happy Earth Day, right? So, I'll lead off with a joke. I was dared to do this joke, so that's why I'm doing it. But so why are tree huggers bad at playing cards? Nobody? Well, they like to avoid the flush. Oh, my gosh. Come on. No laughs, nothing. So why are tree huggers bad at playing cards? Because they like to avoid the flush. Oh, my gosh. Twice fail?
If it's yellow, it's mellow. Is that where we're going?
No, we're not going there. Okay. Well, anyway, hey, Earth Day, feel good type stuff. I want to give you a little heads up on what we're doing, Columbia Bank. We're doing the Pass It On project, and that means we've been paying the bill. And we're giving businesses money to pay it forward. And basically, it's to benefit the community and the people that are impacted mostly by COVID. Locally, Rainbow Motel, we gave them $1,000 to pass it on, and they provided a family in need a place to stay for about a month. Wow. These folks had a new baby, and they had nowhere to go, so it helped take the burden off them. We also provided another $1,000 to a School of Enrichment. It's a school here in Bend, and they use it to provide reduced tuition to about 10 families to help them with their community, and being able to work is really important for them, the child care. So you can learn more about that program at columbiabank.com. I do have one last thing before I get off stage. I challenge you guys to pass it on by visiting your local restaurants. Support those guys. We're down to 25% capacity again. If you could take care of them, they'll take care of you later. But thanks again. Come visit us at Columbia Bank. We're right down on the corner of Bond and Franklin.
Thanks, Taylor. I love that y'all are paying it forward. That's beautiful. All right, next up, Jordan Smith, President and CEO at Velox Systems. Where are you, Jordan? Come on up.
Hey, good evening, Pub Talk. My name is Jordan Smith with Velox Systems. So huge thank you to EdCo for putting this thing on. I say this every month, but it's happened every month that Pub Talk normally happens because of the staff at EdCo doing this and keeping this thing going and keeping our community gathering together, whether virtually or here at McMenamins, walled off between separate rooms and all of that. Eventually, we're going to have this place packed shoulder to shoulder again. Yeah? Sweet. And then in a couple of weeks, there's something happening. The luncheon is coming up, which I didn't really expect that could get pulled off in this environment, but we're doing it. So mark your calendars for that and be there. Velox Systems, so we're a managed IT services provider. We provide business IT services here in Central Oregon, and that's become really important recently because everyone's gone remote and there's a lot of infrastructure needed in place to do that. Also, I found that on the M&A side, it's becoming more and more important. Like, deals are dying now because of kind of the revelation of security vulnerabilities and things that might be going on in a company that's looking to sell. It doesn't always necessarily actually kill the deal, it just substantially reduces the price. So if you are in that space at all, and a good assessment to have on hand to know where you stand would be a good investment before you even enter into the letter of intent, because they're going to do it, and then they're going to find that your company's actually worth less. Like everything they find, it drops, percentage points on your sale price. So if you're in that space at all or interested in that at all, let us know. If you're buying a company, that's also a good time to do an assessment so you can reap the benefit on the other side of that. But yeah, just want to say thank you and good to see you guys, and turn it back over.
Thanks, Jordan. Such a good point. It is really good to be here. Thank you. All right, next up, Kurt Barker, attorney and partner at Kara Peterson. Kurt, what do you have for us tonight?
Hey, everybody. Great to see you. Last month, I remember Roger Lee was up here. He's so nice. He was joking about, everybody knows that Kurt Barker from Kara Peterson, haha. I don't know about that. When I got down from stage, I had one of those great post-PubTalk chats that you do. That's one of the best things about PubTalk. And somebody said, again, employment law, I didn't know you did that. So first, nobody tell my 8 law partners that I'm doing a crappy job up here of explaining what I do, please. That's a problem for me. But no, second, at the risk of overemphasizing that, could we quickly touch on the issue du jour in my world, vaccines in the workplace? Can we go there real quick? So just yesterday, big news splash from Biden, tax credits. You pay your employees paid sick leave, extra paid sick leave to go get the vax, even recover from it, and you can get a 1-to-1 dollar-for-dollar tax credit. That's a big deal. Just a word to the wise, that's not brand new news. That came out last month with the American Rescue Plan Act. And here's a trap. You have to comply with all aspects of those leave laws if you want to get that money back, if you want the tax credit. You got to offer that paid sick leave, the paid family medical leave for other COVID-related reasons too, so watch out for that. Second thing, this has led to a fun flurry of questions for me about what incentives can we give? Can we give away free tickets to PubTalk if you get the vaccine? Can we do it? Clients get excited about this. Let's real quick get some advice on that. So the dollar value of a ticket is probably low enough not to trigger wellness plan rules. That's good. Lawyers like that. But you'd want to watch out. I would want to give those with a religious or disability-based objection, give them an alternative way to earn the goodie. That's all. Watch out for some discrimination claims that you can set up by giving a goodie on the vaccine. So with that, if you need help getting a little ego boost, just pay to sponsor PubTalk, and Roger will say nice things about you. It feels so good. But we'll help you navigate those tricky employment laws. They do keep changing. Aaron, you have a question? I'm an employment law attorney, and I do more too, but that's my main jam. Thank you.
Kurt Barker, employment attorney at large. Thank you, Kurt. All right, next up, Julianne Horner, account executive, Providence Health Plan. Julianne, how are you doing tonight?
Yes, I can. That way. Oh, okay. Woo, thank you, Aaron. You're awesome. It is so nice to see faces without masks and in one room. And thank you to EdCo for your flexibility in allowing us to meet virtually and in person. We know that the great work that EdCo does day in and day out for our business community, but what you don't realize is how much that bleeds into the entire community and makes this Central Oregon an amazing community to live in. And because of that, Providence Health Plan will continue to support and sponsor EdCo events and what they stand for. We feel really strongly that's how we are. We are just one piece of the whole. We do healthcare, and we know if we do it well, we give great service to the entire community. An example of that is pre-pandemic, we decided that behavioral health was a really big issue and we needed to address it. So, unprecedented, we took it in-house, which means we allow our members to seek services for behavioral health and physical health in the same way, so that they have the ability to be happy and healthy and well. And what that produces is a great, strong community. So with that said, we want to continue supporting this community, supporting what's going on, and you're going to see us bright and shiny faces all the time. So we wish luck to all of those that are coming up on stage. We know that they've had to endure a pandemic and still be successful. So we want to cheer them on and continue helping this strong
Oh, you got it.
there it is. Woo!
Thanks, Julianne. I love having your bright, shiny faces here. All right, friends. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And next up is EdCo CEO Roger Lee for a Hot Director's Minute. I mean, a Director's Hot Minute.
Or a director's hot mess. That could be that too, yeah. That describes me. Maybe today, I don't know. So, hey, well, thanks for coming to Pub Talk, making part of your week. It's great to have everybody here, and thanks for, with us, persevering through what we're going through continually. So, I've got kind of an interesting report. Anybody see the Cascade Business News report on from Wallet Hub about best places for small business? It was a little blurb. It was down a little ways. It was earlier this week. It was the first of a couple things they sent out this week. And number 12 and 13 of over 1,300 small communities were Redmond and Bend in that order, interestingly enough. 1,300, number 12 and 13. So you're like, oh, okay, well, who's Wallet Hub? I've never heard of them before. It's not Forbes or something like that, but it's an organization that's doing a lot of research around around best places to do business and kind of business environment and so forth. So we've seen their stuff frequently over the last, let me say, 2 or 3 years more actively. And so, who else was in the mix? Well, 7 of those 15 were from Utah. So Utah just like cleaned up. There were 2 from Montana in the top 15, and then there were Redmond and Bend in that order. I'll say that again. I know folks in Redmond are like, yeah, right, Redmond beat Bend. And they had 20 different factors, and I thought the factors were interesting too. I won't go through those in detail, but they were all they had very kind of interesting weightings to them. Half of the 3 categories, the first one was business environment, so half of the weighting on points, 50 of the 100 points were there. Access to resources, this would be things like coming to Pub Talk and the investors that are here, and debt financing and so forth. Legal access, I mean all the things that our sponsors are doing. And then business costs came in another 25. So those 2 last ones made up 25. But there were really interesting things in there. So there's, right off the bat in business environment, there's COVID testing, there's COVID deaths, there's COVID indicators. So they've really kind of updated this thing and made it more relevant. There's commute times, there's growth in the number of small businesses and so forth. And under access to resources, there's financing accessibility, investor access, human resources, so access to talent, higher education assets, so thank you for our higher education sponsors, and kind of workforce educational attainment. So interesting kind of a mix of things. So you got all those communities kind of mashed up, and we're coming out smelling pretty darn pretty. So I thought that'd be interesting to share with you on a Pub Talk night, and some relevant kind of real-time information. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, Roger. Hot Director's Minute. Somebody has spring fever, my God. All right, friends. So over the course of the past year, EdCo has been busier than ever, which is excellent news. The 4th quarter of 2020 marked a historic record for the most done deals. EdCo area directors are fielding calls daily from companies that want to move to Central Oregon, as well as from growing companies that are already here. EdCo venture catalyst Brian Vieira is busy helping the entrepreneur and investor community survive and thrive. EdCo events are continuously pivoting, finding new ways to gather the business community safely, and so much more. And none of this could happen without the financial support of our EdCo members. Thank you to our longstanding members and to the following new members who have supported us through these unparalleled times. In alphabetical order: Bend Disinfection, Bend Sauce, Cascade Disposal, Cascade Valuation Services, Circle of Trust LLC, CWKK Corp, Hardworks Paint, Idaho First Bank, Indigo Marketing, Interim Healthcare of Central Oregon, Katie Hamburg, Kernet Stokes, Collective, Kudometric, Mighty Sales. Can you still hear me? Mighty Sales? Hello. Am I back? Can you guys hear me? Oh. Mighty Sales, Miss B Women, Northwest Key Property Management, Optimal DX, Paylocity, Perennial Building, Sage Insurance, Sebastian Pastor, Sen Transportation, Sightcast Inc., Stavron Trading Company, Stickerlicious, Thimble Peak Advisors, and Washington Trust Bank. Additionally, we'd like to thank the following businesses who upgraded their membership to support EdCo. This is Brian Cabinets, David Keat with Fred Real Estate Group, and Sherpa Wealth Strategies. And again, it's worth noting that all of these businesses stepped up during the pandemic. So if you are not yet an EdCo member, please reach out to Heidi Hausner for more information. And for you virtual attendees, all of you folks watching from home, on the right side of your screen is a chat bar. So just type your questions and your comments in the chat bar, and they'll make their way to me, and that's how we'll include your questions for this evening. And for those of you here at McMenamins, you can just raise your hand. Okay, so you just raise your hand. It's like, all right. So on to tonight's companies provided by supporting sponsors SGA CPAs, who is honored to partner with EdCo in support of our local business community. SGA prides itself as being more than accountants. They are modern advisors with collaborative strategy focusing on building wealth and sustainable business growth. Thank you to Amber Yates and SGA, also a platinum EdCo board member. Hang in there during tax season, home stretch. And Ferguson Wellman Capital Management, who is delighted to be a sponsor of PubTalk. For those of you who may not know, Ferguson Wellman and its division West Bearing Investments design and manage customized investment portfolios for clients, IRAs, trusts, foundations, endowments, corporate retirement, and pension plans. While based in Portland, they have served clients in Central Oregon for over 3 decades. That's 30 years, Paul. So, time for a company update. Riff is a purpose-driven coffee company with a mission to explore and celebrate 100% of coffee plants' agricultural value. They are passionate about building a purpose-led company that creates widely desired, good for you and good for the planet beverages. The brand launched their first line of ready-to-drink cold brew coffees in 2018 and quickly garnered many awards and accolades. Co-founder and CEO Paul Evers took the stage at Ben Venture Conference and took home investment. And tonight, he'll take the stage again to tell us about their new product, and I heard he brought some with him, Score. Welcome to the stage, Paul Evers. Come on up.
I have to get oriented here a little bit. Is this where the microphone should be? Okay, all right. So, happy Earth Day, everybody. Oh, oh, you used a different mic. Did we sanitize this?
It's been sanitized.
You know, Earth Day marks the anniversary of the beginning of the modern environmental movement in 1970. And so Earth Day has become kind of a big deal for Riff over the past couple of years. And it's not so much a celebration for us, but maybe a day of service, a day that brings us an opportunity to help elevate with the population around the world what the situation, the status is with the planet. And that's especially important in being a coffee company, as the coffee industry is no innocent bystander in the problem that we're facing with global warming or climate change. Scientists are now predicting that by the year 2050, as much as 50% of the usable land for coffee growing will no longer be viable due to rising temperatures resulting from climate change. You see, coffee plants grow in a very narrow temperature range of between about 65 and 70 degrees. And with coffee being one of the largest agricultural commodities traded in the world, this is no small deal. And the irony is, really, that coffee is actually contributing to its own demise. So coffee's been around for about 400 years, and now today you can find it on virtually every street corner across the planet. But very few people are aware that coffee is actually a fruit. And the coffee beans are actually a seed surrounded by this luscious fruity pulp, kind of like an apricot or a peach, and this fruity pulp is called cascara. And it's naturally sweet, naturally caffeinated, and it's loaded with nutritional value. But due to lack of awareness, hence lack of demand, and lack of economic value, the coffee industry has been literally throwing this fruity pulp away for generations. And we've been told by the industry leaders, trade groups, and our peers that basically what's happening with Cascara is it's being composted and converted to fertilizer. But we suspected that maybe we weren't hearing the whole truth. So last year we partnered with Oregon State University on a robust environmental study to quantify the magnitude of the waste and the magnitude of its impact on the environment and on coffee growing communities. It turns out that our suspicions were true, that along with that 25 billion pounds of green coffee that's produced annually for export, 100 billion pounds of Cascara is harvested. And 70% of it is literally thrown away. Some of it is thrown in the back corners of farmers' plantations, some is dumped into streams, and most of it is sent off to landfill where it's piled into mountains, emitting methane gas equivalent to about 30 billion pounds of carbon dioxide. That's about the same level of emissions as 3 million automobiles in a single year. But what makes this an even graver sin is I mentioned that Cascara is naturally sweet, naturally caffeinated, and it's loaded with nutritional value. We would argue that the practice that's been going on is throwing away what is probably, likely, the better half of what the coffee plant has to offer. We love coffee, but we seek, as Shannon explained, to explore and celebrate 100% of what the coffee plant has to offer. So learning the facts behind the magnitude of the waste and its impact on the environment and coffee growing communities was transformative to Riff. So in the process, we became a fiercely purpose-driven company seeking to become a real force for good. And our solution to coffee's contribution to climate change is identifying a product that has perfect overlap, that perfectly aligns our altruistic mission to reduce coffee's contribution to climate change with an enterprise opportunity. Our first innovation with Cascara was Alter Ego, which was released around the beginning of 2020. And it was doing pretty good in market. But it wasn't doing good enough for us because we have a sense of urgency behind solving this problem. So last fall, we took a deep breath and we engaged in conversations with college students all up and down the West Coast, from as far south as UCLA up to UW. And we learned some really honest and insightful feedback. And so just this past month, what we've done is, as Shannon was alluding to, is that we released the replacement for Alter Ego, which is called Riff Energy Plus Immunity. We got 3 incredible flavors. We've got Booyah Berry, we've got Pick It Up Pomegranate, and we have Get It Guava. Each can has 120 milligrams of caffeine and a wonderful immunity benefit because we've added a daily dose of vitamin C, there's antioxidants, and there's also elderberry juice. And what we've the big difference between this and Alter Ego is there's been an elevated perceived sweetness in the product without adding any more sugar, and there's a better balance between the fruit notes, the fruit driving notes, and the Cascara flavor notes, and it's really super refreshing. Basically, I think what we see it as is it's a purpose-built product based on the direct feedback and conversations that we had with college students. This is a population that has a very high index for caring about the health and wellness of the planet as much as they do their own. So, I guess the final thing that we're most proud about with Riff Energy Plus Immunity is that each can is carbon neutral, which is really surprising for an energy drink. So we brought lots of samples and would love to invite you to join us on our journey of reducing coffee's contribution to climate change one can at a time. So here is to Mother Earth.
Cheers. Thank you, Paul. Okay, don't go anywhere. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Number 1, how's your family doing?
Everybody's doing great, but I'm really
You can
thirsty.
crack one up, just
Yeah.
crack it right open. All right. Well, actually, I love that you're doing this because I think, energy drinks are notorious for being horrible for you. But you actually created something that's quite disruptive in terms of that industry. Can you speak a little bit more about the health benefits or even just how it compares to what's out on the market? It might be appealing to your audience.
This is a clean energy drink. So the ingredient panel is nothing but real ingredients, nothing that's created in a lab. It's really, we have natural flavors, but they're organic. So it's not chemistry. It's really natural.
It's awesome. I just love it. It is very delicious.
Have you tried this new stuff?
I haven't tried the new one. No.
Well, here you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Any questions from the audience for Riff? Yes, Kurt Barker in the back. You're an employment attorney? Kurt Barker in the back.
Yeah.
How's the caffeine content compared to competitors or coffee? And coffee, I guess.
Well, there's a lot of factors in determining caffeine levels, but generally a cup of coffee is between 80 and 120 milligrams. So this is 120 milligrams. Which is a 12-ounce can, so that's 10 milligrams per ounce, which is really in line with what you have for the energy drink category. So it's what you would expect, but the big difference between this caffeine and what you might get from those other energy drinks is there's no, I forgot to mention, jitters or crash. It's really, it's kind of like an elevation that goes like that, rather than that.
So maybe a little something more similar to like a matcha or like a tea caffeine.
Yeah, it's really a nice functional benefit as far as the energy factor.
Awesome.
Hey, Shannon, we have a question in the theater.
Hit me.
Hey, Paul, Don Pommier. Big fan of Riff. Are you looking for additional investors to go the journey with you?
Wow, who sent that? Well, it's in the other theater. Yes. Thank you for asking. We are getting close to closing our Series Seed round. So it's a scarce opportunity is what I'm getting at.
Amazing. Any other questions from the audience tonight? Aaron, any questions from you? What do you need? Great question.
What do you mean, what do we need?
What do you need? What do you need?
We need evangelists. We want people to help tell our story and be passionate about it. One of the things that I think we're really excited about is this is a company that was born in Bend. We're a Bend company, and we also have our production facility up in Redmond, so we represent both communities. And we want to make these communities proud by revolutionizing, being a real disruptor in the coffee category. Nobody is really taking Cascara and translating it into a beverage that we believe has a promise to scale that the Riff Energy Plus does. Yes?
I was going to ask you, could you describe carbon neutral?
Can you describe carbon neutral? Can you describe carbon neutral in this context?
In this, how did we arrive at carbon neutral?
What does that mean?
Or what do we mean by that? Yes, so the carbon footprint is offset by, we're reducing methane emissions at source. And the other thing that we're doing, actually, we're inherently carbon neutral, so it's a neutral carbon footprint. But we're slightly a little bit low, and we're making up for that by partnering with a nonprofit out of Portland called Grow Ahead that works directly with coffee farming communities to plant shade trees for plantations, which is great. So it's coffee regional reforestation projects. And the only thing we have to do is plant like 3 trees for every pallet produced. That's how close we are.
Wow.
I don't know if that totally answers your question, but.
Is that satisfying? Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
One
It's a
more
great question. Yes,
question in the
one more
theater.
question. Okay. What do you got, Brian?
Hi, Paul. I'm fascinated by the innovation of your products. So I have a question. My name's Melissa with Miss Bee Woman. How do you convert the regular coffee and tea drinker in the morning that loves their hot beverage? Can you heat this up? And if you can, does it keep all the nutrients?
That's great. So this drink actually tastes nothing like coffee. So if you're a coffee lover, then I'd love to tell you more about our cold brewed coffee line. We have 3 different bottled cold brewed coffees that you can find in Newport Market, Market of Choice, and Safeway and Albertsons actually. Next month, Fred Meyer. So this is the complementary arm to the cold brewed coffee arm. But as far as if you bought our cold brew and you're really, I think, tied to the ritual of hot coffee in the morning, as I am, you can heat it up, but you want to be careful. You don't want to nuke it in the microwave because that tends to alter the flavor compounds within coffee. So what we recommend is you heat it up like you would a baby bottle. I mean, that's the kind of level you want to care about it. You know, in a pan of hot water. That's gentle. We want, our cold brew coffee is brewed very gently. That's what avoids the acidity and bitterness of coffee. But this tastes nothing like coffee. I should have pointed that out. It tastes like a refreshing.
Like tea, and it's kind of fruity.
And this is less tea-like than Alter Ego.
It's light. It's slightly carbonated.
It is lightly carbonated.
It tastes like a smile.
It tastes.
Aaron.
It's a different kind of smile than what you get from coffee.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Two questions. How did they Okay, this is great. How did they increase perceived sweetness without adding sugars, and what is the price point?
Let me answer the easy question first. $2.99 suggested retail, but that's going to vary depending on the retailer. But it is $2.99 on letsriff.com. You can buy all of the Riff Energy Plus immunity that you want off of letsriff.com. So the way that we achieved better balance between Cascara and the fruit driving notes like guava and berry, so it's blackberry and elderberry and then pomegranate with some hibiscus, is we went to organic natural flavors that don't have any sugar content to heighten the fruit flavors, and then there's inherent sugars in the Cascara. We also have fruit juice there, so the perceived sweetness and fruitness level was just kind of better balance between Cascara, juice, fruit juice concentrate, and the natural flavors.
Wonderful
Does that make
explanation.
sense?
Yeah, that makes great sense.
I'm not the food scientist, but that's what he told me.
Paul, I love I love your story. I've been following along the whole time, and I'm just so excited to see what happens next. I want to encourage everyone to go to letsriff.com and watch the film that you made that talks about your process that got you here, and I think it's incredibly inspiring, and so I hope everyone will do that. And then also, how do we get the samples? Where are they?
Well, they're out and about. I mean, this table has 4 on there. There's an
Cooler in
ice
the
chest
back of
over
the
there.
room.
Don
All
is
right.
pointing to an ice chest over there. Those are cold, ready to drink. If you're averse to drinking caffeine in the evening, then take it home and enjoy it tomorrow. A lot of people see it as a great mid-afternoon pick-me-up. Like if you
Perfect.
really want to bring it home the last 3 hours of the afternoon, this will do the job. It does it for me every day.
Just get it, guava.
Get it. It's kind of like get it done, guava.
Yeah,
but
I
you
get
know
it.
what I mean? Yeah, you get it.
Thanks, Paul.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Get it, guava. All right. Created 10 years ago out of Dwight and Marilee Johnson's mission to find safe, natural, and nourishing products to help soothe their son's eczema, Ben's Soap Company is a family-run company dedicated to creating toxin-free goat milk soap. Today, their all-natural skincare products have helped thousands of families enjoy healthy skin with nourishing and wholesome ingredients at an affordable price. Tonight, founder and owner Dwight Johnson is here, and he brought presents for everyone, too. So, Dwight, get on up here.
Thank you. I brought this piece of paper so it looks like I have notes, but I don't do notes. They invited me to this program in our 3rd year of business, and we thought we were really flying high. And I remember predicting at the time to Brian Vieira that we were probably going to hit 300,000 revenue the next year. I thought we were smoking, we were killing it. We missed it. We only hit 295,000 that year, and so we were really disappointed. But we started making soap, like she said, for my son Chance. He had eczema. He's 3 years old, and he had it so bad he was scratching until he bled at night. And we tried everything. We tried lotions, potions, dermatologist, everything seemed to aggravate it even more, and it made it more frustrated. And so when I started researching, me and Google got together and started trying to figure out how to make this eczema go away, and that's when I found goat milk actually has enzymes and proteins and helps rebuild the skin. But you didn't want to just stick them in a bathtub full of goat milk. The goats wouldn't like that. That'd be a waste of milk. So we started making soap with olive oil, coconut, red palm, and then we started using essential oils for scent and variety. Within 2 weeks of him using that soap, his eczema just started disappearing. Now, we can't claim we cure anything. I'll get the lawyers and everybody after me. We don't claim that at all. But yeah, he left, so I'm safe. It'll cure you. No. So the bottom line is it made his eczema go away. We started giving it to friends, family, people at the bank, people at Starbucks. Their first response kind of looked at me like, you're making soap? Random. But then they started coming back to me and they're like, man, I need more of that soap. That stuff's awesome. It lathers well, it rinses clean, my skin feels great. It's all natural ingredients, not 15, 20 chemicals like most soaps out there. And we could tell by the demand that we had something that the public wanted. Where I really figured out we had something going is I was doing craft shows and I got verbally abused by a grandma who was very upset that I didn't have this soap more available, because the only place she could find it was at the craft show, and it was the only thing that helped her grandchild's eczema. And so she hunted me down, said, you got to get this in every store. And I smiled at her and said, yeah, that's great. I milk goats, I make soap, I go to craft shows. How do I take it to every store? It's been a fun journey, and I'm thankful for a lot of the EdCo services. Brian Vieira let us use his conference room when we were going through a lot of struggles internally, because as we've been growing, we've been bringing on team members, and it's interesting because when you hire people that have different visions, your company could go into a kind of a flux of a tailspin of a craziness. And we were bleeding capital. We weren't making money for a while. Actually, we weren't making money for the first 7 years, so who am I kidding? We weren't making money. We were just struggling. And Eric Mead came in and helped us with the help of EdCo, and we were able to get the right people in the right seats. And some people decided they were going to move on to other areas of their life, which is awesome. I wish them the best. I hope they crush it. And we got people on our team that really bought into our vision, that really understood what we were about. We weren't about the bottom line. We were about our customers. We're about serving a need. I love your passion. I jokingly say every day at Ben Soap is Earth Day. But, you know, we had a passion. We wanted to make a product that was natural, that worked, that would help people. They continue to come back. And what was exciting, the other day we were looking online and we realized that 75% of our orders that we ship out are the other side of the Rockies. So we're shipping a ton of product East Coast. It just means I didn't do very good at the craft shows, apparently, because all my customers found us online. But so we're growing quick. We got the right people in the right seat. I got people on my team now that they've got an ownership mentality. What was fun is, you know, I was looking at our numbers. We hit 2019. I'm trying to remember what it was. 2020. We're in 21, right? Okay, yeah. So we did 3.2 million in 2019. And it was the first year we really started to grow our profit. Before then, we were about 2.5% profit, which is really bad, but we were dumped into inventory and growth and team. And then 2020, which was the apocalypse, everybody knows the pandemic wiped everyone out, and it was brutal. I mean, I know a lot of people, they were mentioning restaurants, they got the brunt of it. It's just been a horrible season for a lot of people in business. We grew by 68%. And I'm very blessed and thankful, because it wasn't because I'm smart. It wasn't because we're really good at what we do. Thankfully, the goats put out the milk, so we did a lot of milking. But I'm very thankful for our customers and for our team, for EdCo and the community. I'm humbled by the fact that we were able to grow by that amount. Our profit was about 20% and growing, and that's even after we gave a bunch of bonuses to the team and a lot of raises. So it's super exciting to be able to bring that East Coast money out here to the West Coast and to spread it to everybody that's part of our team and part of our community. What does next year look like, or this year? I don't know. It's our 10th anniversary. We're working on a lot of new products. We're launching a whole new company. Thanks to Jeff and the team, we're launching Country Lane, which is CBD products. And we're really excited about that because we've already seen the benefit of these products. We've been using the products. All kinds of stories already coming back. I usually give a lot of product away and test it before we ever sell anything. So I'm really excited about launching these products. And you guys have them on your table, the little muscle gels, little samples. You guys online, sorry, missed out. That's it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. This is a great update.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I just want to know more about the goats. Did you have the goats before you started making the soap, or were you like, I got to go get some goats and make this soap?
No, I had the goats. Yeah, I have a large family. At the time, my 3-year-old was my third born. We now have 10 children.
Oh my.
So I'm a busy farmer. So yeah, we've been milking goats for about 3 or 4 years because I like the goat milk for my children to be drinking, and we're making cheeses and kind of having fun with them. And so I felt a little bit stupid when people had told me before, you should make soap out of it. And I'm like, milk's not for soap. You drink milk. Like, that's dumb. And then when I Google and find out it had so many benefits, I felt kind of silly because here it was right in our backyard.
Sitting on a freaking gold mine. I have to say, when you mentioned using the EdCo boardroom, I just pictured like you and all the wild goats like, oh, this is crazy. We're having a wild time here. But I'm glad everyone's behaving themselves. Any questions from the audience?
Thankfully, I milk the goats. They're not my partners.
But you did give them a lot of bonuses, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Shannon, we have a question in the theater.
Great, Brian.
Hey, Dwight. This is Justin Coates. Just curious how your intro into e-commerce has been.
What has it been like to transition into e-commerce?
Great question. You're talking to a non-e-commerce dude right here. When we first started, like I said, we did the craft shows. I was belly to belly. I like talking to people. I like getting their feedback and walking through it. So when we went online, I actually, we built what I called the family reunion website, where it was no meta tag, meta description, no back end. I didn't know anything. And it flopped. I mean, we climbed up Google, and then something skipped, and we went all the way to page 27. So it was a long, hard journey is what it was. And then one of the things I've learned in business is be humble and ask a lot of questions. And so I started reaching out to people who knew how to do online, and actually hired people smarter than me, and they helped me get into the e-commerce side. And once we figured out Facebook and all that kind of stuff, it really became quite fun.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's great. Yes?
So are you partnering for the CBD, or are you producing it yourself?
Are you producing the CBD yourself, or are you partnering with someone on that?
Great question. I jokingly say I accidentally got into CBD, like a lot of people in Central Oregon. Somebody reached out to me to lease one of my pastures, and they wanted to grow CBD. So the first year I did that, and that CBD is still sitting in my barn, as a lot of CBD growers know. It became harder to move it. I've been looking at launching a product for 2 years, and we've been working on R&D and creating the products. And then this last year, I went ahead and grew it. Some friends of mine helped me start it, and then they moved on to other things. So me and my kiddos grew 27,000 plants this year. So it was a bit of work. It was a lot of work, in fact, but it was beautiful, organic CBD. I would love to partner with someone in the future, because growing CBD is a lot of work.
But it's great for the soil. It's great for the land. There's a lot of
really good. And that's the thing is, if you're using organic practices, it's really good for the soil, good for the land. In fact, that's one of the things you have to be aware of, is CBD is used in a lot of places to clean up hazmat and things like that, because the plant will suck all the stuff out of the soil. And so if you're growing in a contaminated area, you're growing contaminated CBD. And so that's what concerns me. A lot of these products on the market are overpriced, and then they're also contaminated. And so that's a big concern, is knowing your source is super important.
Yeah, isn't it the truth? Do I have any other questions from, yes, Bobby?
So I see the soap, the chapstick, you also do like laundry?
Soap, chapstick, what other products do you make?
Yeah, great question. My wife has a do-it-yourself laundry detergent recipe that she recommends, and it's on our blog and whatnot. We do not make a laundry detergent. We do make lip butters, soaps, deodorant, sugar scrubs, milk baths. I'm probably leaving, lotion, that's only 25% of our revenue, forgot that one. So yeah, a lot of other things. The whole concept was, when we started looking at everything that touches our skin, we realized, man, there's a lot of hazmat out there. There are so many chemicals that we're dumping on our skin that are linked to all kinds of health issues, and yet we don't even think about it. I mean, in the 1940s, you hand your kid a cigarette, nobody would notice, no big deal. Nowadays, they call CPS on you. We're sticking people in the little kids in the tub and putting 15, 20 chemicals saying, hope you make it, Johnny. It just scares me, and I think it's an education thing. I don't think parents know what's happening, and that's the scary part, is I don't think anyone's doing this because they're bad parents. They just haven't been told. And so that's the wake up for us, is anything that touches your skin, we want to make it with an organic, natural product.
It's so true. The average consumer does not know what they need to know to protect themselves. It's very sad. But I really appreciate what you all are creating. I love your company. My mom loves your company. Every time she comes to visit, she's like, can we go take a tour of the Ben Soap Company? I'm like, I think it's their house. I don't know if we...
It is.
Well, I'm going to call you. So thank you so much, Dwight. And thank you for bringing us gifts. And I just can't wait to hear your next update. So well done.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, Dwight, I just love it. I just love giving goats good work. You know what I mean? Okay. On to the next. Sponsored by Barrett Business Services, Inc., BBSI will reduce your administrative burden so you can focus on growing your business and achieving your goals. When you partner with BBSI, you are matched with a dedicated team of local experts who live and work in your community that provide HR and safety consultation, payroll administration, staffing and recruiting, and strategic consulting. Go to bbsi.com or talk with Eric Strobel live at PubTalk. You'll find him near the food, I'm told. And Central Oregon Community College, COCC, is committed to supporting our region's economic recovery and long-term growth. COCC graduates become engineers and teachers, welders and pastry chefs, computer coders, and pharmacy technicians. And 92% of COCC grads stay in Central Oregon, which is truly amazing. Reach out to Marketing and Public Relations Director Jen Kovitz to learn more about how COCC can partner with your business to meet your workforce training needs. Now for a pitch. Realize the full power of video collaboration for your brand beyond hosting meetings. Zipcan provides the ability to add video chat capabilities to your website or application in just a few seconds. You simply embed a code snippet and unlock a two-way video experience within your platform. With Zipcan, you can create new products, engage customers, connect your community, and the Zipcan co-founders are here to tell us how. Please welcome to the stage CEO Fritz Brumder and CPO Spencer Lee.
Product placement for you. How's it going, everybody? I'm Fritz.
Here, grab the mic.
Oh, got it. Oh, cool. Two mics. I can take this. Thank you. So my name is Fritz. I am co-founder and CEO here at Zipcan.
And I'm Spencer. I'm also a co-founder and the CPO at Zipcan.
So Zipcan's vision is to bring video chat to every corner of the web by making it easy to embed.
Zipcan is essentially a video chat platform, much like Zoom or Google Meet, except with one key difference. We make it super simple to embed the video chat experience within your own website or web application. For example, one of our customers who does this is a company who is selling one-to-one video chats with professional athletes right on their branded website. And another company is a virtual events company who is selling is using Zipcan to power their breakout room sessions right on their website as well. So we do this by allowing the video chat module to be highly configurable to your own use case. And we also have the ability to theme the video module so you can match it with the look and feel of your own website. And then we provide you a video or a small code snippet that you can embed on your website. And then once you publish your website, that video experience will manifest itself on the page.
So Zipcan is actually less than a year old. We were born during the pandemic time. But we already have 500 beta customers, and we have a few large enterprise customers that have some really compelling use cases. Zipcan is a team of 6. Spencer and I are here in Bend, but we have engineers in Atlanta and all the way to Italy. We both have a lot of experience in this space, actually. We've built video collaboration platforms before. I was co-founder and CEO of a company called Relive in Portland. And I grew the company from 0 to 50 employees, and we made the Inc. 500 with a 3-year growth rate over 1,200%. I ended up selling the business at the early 2020, right before COVID, actually, and I moved to Bend. So it was awesome to get an exit, but honestly, I've had a fantastic time and just really loved living in Bend. Don't tell any of your friends, please.
I'm with you there, Fritz. So we believe that the trend with video conversations on the web is going to evolve into more owned and operated experiences, where brands are going to prefer to host the video conversation on their own website or web experiences where their users already are, instead of requiring their users to go elsewhere to download an application to have that video experience. And we know that brands put a premium on white labeled web services, which is exactly what Zipcan's trying to do in the video space.
So, as Spencer mentioned, we're really leading the market with this focus on the technology that's required to make video calling very transportable. And so the first thing that we did was we launched a beta product, and we made that available to customers in a really simple and free way. Over 25% of our customers were embedding Zipcan into their website and starting a call immediately. This created kind of a light bulb moment for them where they could see the video call actually happening in their website. So we've actually created a demo on our site at zipcan.com/demo if you want to check that out. But with the market these days, so many people obviously are experiencing video conferencing and video chat in so many ways that companies are eager to find ways to put that video calling experience into where the customer touch point already is. The problem with that is the current way that you have to do that takes a lot of time. You have to deploy engineers to leverage APIs to build it yourself. Well, customers are kind of hesitant to do that because they don't view video as their core competency. They'd rather have their engineers working on other things. So for Zipcan customers, we found that they don't want to use tools like Zoom or Google Meet because their requirement is that the call take place in context within their website. They don't want to punch out to this third-party experience. And they don't want to start building it from scratch because it takes too much time and their engineers are busy on other projects. So we've taken to start a very broad market approach. We don't have one specific vertical that we're focused on. We have customers in the e-commerce category, for example. Telemedicine is a common use case. We have network and community websites that want to connect people inside of their platform. And we also have virtual event services that are utilizing us as an adjacent tool.
Yeah, so the platform has been in beta since about November or so, but we are actually looking to launch the full platform very soon. We would love your guys' feedback, any of you guys or ladies who are managing a website that want to enable a video chat service to your customers or to your user base. You can log on to zipcan.com and or get a hold of Fritz, but we do have a wait list for early access to our MVP launch, which will be here in a few weeks. And we also have a demo on the site, as Fritz mentioned, which will give you an idea of exactly what embeddable video chat is all about.
So we have a few investors. We started raising a little bit of capital, and actually Cascade Seed Fund locally was our first investor. They invested in us in 2020 and have continued to support us. But fortunately, in 2021, we landed some big enterprise contracts, and so we don't need to raise additional capital right now, which is a great position to be. However, we're always looking for good talent. Obviously, we're in Bend. We did end up finding one other engineer that is here in Bend. We found him on the Bend.js Slack channel, so shout out to that if you guys are members there. And then Jesse, who's here in the back, is one of our advisors. He also was co-founder of a video company called Elemental Technologies in Portland and now lives here in Bend. But we'd love to have more people here in Bend with Spencer and I ultimately when we're back in an office. But if you know engineers anywhere around the globe, we can take that too. So we're ready for questions.
First question is, how's the Riff Energy Plus Immunity Booyah Berry treating you?
It was the perfect arc that Paul just mentioned right there.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a pretty mellow guy, as you can tell. So
very good.
It takes a lot to get me.
Yeah, very good. Okay, very good. Love to hear it. So where did the idea for this come from? Was it really just like an organic thing, like, oh, everyone's on video, and wouldn't it be cool if? Or is there a unique story there?
Well, Spencer and I had worked together. He was also at Relive with me, and we had worked in and around this kind of space that was more of a live streaming product, so more like broadcast video, actually, kind of similar to cameras and big setups and stuff like that. We wanted something that was going to be a lot simpler and easy to use. Obviously, COVID created a huge demand for video collaboration and sort of demystified it for a lot of people. So it was a little bit of COVID momentum that helped us. But ultimately, Spencer and I are driven by creating products that connect humans. And video is obviously a fantastic way to connect humans. We want to put tools in people's hands that allow them to do that. So they can create net new products and net new things, like the company that sells one-to-one athlete chats. So you can buy a jersey, but now you can buy the jersey plus 1 minute with the athlete or 2 minutes with the athlete to have them sign it and say something cool and ask them a question. So that company obviously wouldn't go try to build this themselves, and we're putting the tools in their hands, that's the inspiring part for us.
That's very cool. Well, I'm not an engineer, but I'm very good on chat, so just keep me in mind. I know you're looking for good talent. Yes, Kevin.
Live chat, as those plugins, how big would you estimate that market to be? Do you see yourselves as the killer of that?
How big?
Text chat.
How big is the live chat or text chat market? Do you consider yourselves like coming in to throw your weight around there?
Yeah, it is quite large. Obviously, as a customer support endpoint, with the rise of e-commerce, companies like Ben Soap and Riff, you guys can service so many customers utilizing text chat. In a lot of businesses, especially if it's a higher price point or some kind of larger questions, they're utilizing us to escalate. So we basically integrate with the chat platforms, not replace them. And so you can make that native to escalate to video, but once that video call starts to happen, you're still on the website. It doesn't feel as cumbersome as like, hey, I want to invite you to my Zoom meeting, or we're not setting up a meeting, we're just escalating to video. It's all in the same context.
It seems like there's probably an application for the medical field. Is that kind of next?
Well, yeah, our very first customer was actually a telemedicine company, and they actually kind of financed us out of the gate, and we built the vision of our platform was very much in line with what they needed. So we built for them and delivered, and actually their use case was to connect EMTs to doctors at real time, and they already had a platform that facilitated conversations, but they needed something that was more ad hoc on the fly. And so we built for them, and then we were able to kind of fork from there and build out our platform.
It's amazing. So cool. Yes, Jared.
First question, or two questions, I guess. What do you do to make sure it's secure? Obviously, that's a big concern about Zoom meetings, et cetera. And then also, if it's on an interface of like a website, can there be multiple people that are on the chat?
Okay, so we have two really great questions. The first one is, how do you keep it secure? The second one is, how do you put multiple people into the chat? Or is that a possibility? Is it just two people, or can you do multiples?
So first, on the security side, the short answer is it's technology, of course, just making sure that our platform and our delivery is secure as possible. That's one of the reasons we really enjoyed starting with the high demand of HIPAA. So we delivered our very first version of the product that was HIPAA compliant. The other question, which is how do you embed it on the website but yet make it a unique call? That's actually one of our pieces of IP that we have built. So you can embed Zipcan really across your entire website, and those are what we call video chat spaces. Then within that, they're extremely dynamic. You can make them very open so that anybody that has access to it would all come into the same room, and that's more of like a community use case where you want everybody to access and talk together. And then we have something called dynamic rooms, which means that with a really simple, like low-code version of our platform, you can dynamically create your own rooms, and that could be on a public website, but nobody else would have access to it unless they were invited to it, of course. So that's one of the special sauces.
Hey, Shannon, we have a question over here as well.
We'll take it.
Hey, I love the idea. What about recording?
Yeah, we do have a recording feature. It's somewhat in the works, along with a few other things of our platform, but it will be part of our launch coming up here. Yeah, it's essentially configurable before the video chat starts. So at this time, we don't have the ability to record on the fly, but chats can be recorded, and it is something that we're offering for our paid tiers.
we actually, I don't even think I've told Spencer this yet, but one of our beta customers that's like really hot and heavy to get our product is a product called Dispatch Justice. They wanted to make sure that the video recorded as soon as the room was opened. Essentially what they are selling is you sign up for it ahead of time, you just bookmark it on your phone, it's not an app or anything. And if you get pulled over and you want to have a lawyer immediately available for you, or you want to start recording what's happening when you get pulled over, they open Zipcan, it starts recording right away, and as soon as you open that room, it sends a text message to a lawyer, and they can start to get on video call with you.
Wow.
So.
That's awesome, Fritz.
Yeah, yeah, Spencer doesn't even know that yet.
Glad we won that one. That deal.
Spencer is sweating wildly now. Yeah, he just got really excited.
I got to get in front of the computer and start figuring this out.
Wow, that is wild. Okay,
one
Aaron.
more in the theater.
Oh, one more in the theater. Let's go.
Hi there. Thanks for sharing your story. This is a really interesting company. And it sounds like you guys have a lot of good uses and have found a lot of good customers. What about the concept of Zoom fatigue? And are you guys doing anything to offer, I don't know, some level of relief from that, or to make people want to continue Zooming when many of us are so tired of living in this virtual world? How do we connect better, and does your platform provide that?
Well, one of the first things that just vision-wise and strategically, we say Zipcan is all about conversations. We're not a meetings platform. So we don't intend to replace Zoom for all of the meetings and conferencing and stuff like that. And that's actually a huge part of the fatigue that you're seeing. When you jump into a video conference, there's lots of people there. You end up talking for longer than you anticipated, going on 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. That's when you get Zoom fatigue. Zipcan is almost all of our calls are like 15 minutes to 30 minutes at the most. So we intend to be a conversational tool that's quick to open and quick to close. So that will be one thing. And Spencer is an amazing designer. You'll see that when you come to our website. But the UI of our platform is really clean and really simple. And that also helps just on the eyes to make it something that you're not just,
hopefully you're not overwhelmed.
Easier on the eyes, yes.
Easier on the eyes. Well, I appreciate that you thought of that, because it is a real thing. Aaron. What's different about building a startup this time around?
Well, I thought it would be faster, but this has been really fast. My first company, it was about 2 years to get to the point where we did about 6 months ago. So it has been actually quite a bit faster, but you feel like it wants to go faster. So one of my friends told me, or I heard this a long time ago, that like you just can't speed up a pregnancy. It just is going to be what it is going to be. And so when you're creating a new company, when you're birthing a new company, it just is what it's going to be. It's going to take a long time. And so usually they end up being multi-year journeys. I have really enjoyed actually the remote aspect, and being able to live in Bend has been awesome. And having a small team. We also are very engineer focused. I'm actually the only sort of real customer facing person. Everybody else on the team is an engineer, and it was the opposite at my last company. We had fewer engineers and lots of go-to-market sales.
Wonderful. Okay, I've got one more. I'm going to go with Roger.
You don't get the luxury of slides, but where do you think you're going to be at 3 to 5 years?
Where do you think you'll be 3 to 5 years from a revenue perspective?
Well, having fast growth rates is awesome. So hopefully it's thousands of % higher than we are right now. And we're at a point that we're 6 people and self-sustaining our salaries and all of our expenses. So yeah, 5 years it should be hopefully pushing 10 million or more.
Listen, you keep taking that slow roll and energy drink every afternoon. Can I take one more?
I see
yeah, okay.
For that stuff.
Bobby, or do you want to go from the online? Okay, Bobby.
How are the virtual backgrounds?
How are the virtual backgrounds? All right.
We've been pushing for virtual backgrounds, but we don't have them yet. But that is, yeah, we're part of the Zoom fatigue thing question. Well, why don't you answer this one? 'Cause you're
Well, I'm curious to know what you would prefer. Do you
yeah,
prefer tropical, or I mean, like, what's
Riff? We're going to automatically make every background say Riff. Yeah, that's actually a brilliant business model.
Yeah, sponsored backgrounds.
Sponsored backgrounds for free.
Oh my God.
Can we shut off the video feed?
Boom! Yes.
Wow.
Can we make a deal right now? I'll make every background virtually Riff.
Wow.
20 grand a
Okay,
month.
this is really getting wild.
Starting,
Okay, so
Ben Soap. You got
Ben Soap, you're in. My face, maybe? I don't know. We could do whatever. All right, so you guys, this is awesome. And I think you can tell the audience is really intrigued, and I hope we hear from you again soon. And thank you so much. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, we are going to move into our keynote portion, sponsored by Bend Broadband, who is honored to sponsor PubTalk and proud to be a part of the Central Oregon community. Check out bendbroadband.com. They have a great new introductory offer for business internet starting at $39.95 when bundled. That is a screaming deal. And Central Oregon Association of Realtors. Your business may look a bit different these days, but the expertise realtors have not changed. Realtors have the same dedication to connect with clients and continue to find new ways to share their expertise. So if you have questions, look for the R to indicate the member of the Central Oregon Association of Realtors. Keynote Kara. Throughout Kara Buckley's career, she has worked across the highest levels of sport, including the Olympic Games, Paralympic Games, FIFA World Cup, League of Legends, Special Olympics, and UEFA Champions League. With LA 28, the home of the 28th Summer Olympic and Paralympic Games, and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic team, she built and launched the first of its kind athlete marketing program. While working at Visa, she pioneered Visa's Rio 2016 acceptance campaign by supporting 10 athletes competing on the refugee Olympic team. Joining us from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, as well as Oregon Sports Angels, here is Kara Buckley to talk with us about sports at the intersection of impact and innovation. Take it away, Kara. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks very much for having me, and I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you in person soon. I am a native Oregonian, born and raised in Portland, went to the University of Oregon, and just had the opportunity right before COVID actually to move back to Oregon. Was working remote and got to choose where I live, and couldn't imagine a better place to come than Bend. So I've really enjoyed being here this last year, almost year and a half now at this stage, and I feel very lucky to be able to do what I'm doing professionally here in Bend as well. So today I want to talk about my background and how I ended up here in Bend, and something that's really important to me, which is this philosophy that you've likely heard before, this idea that talent is distributed, but opportunity typically is not. And so I hope that you'll see over the course of my career, that is one of my goals, is to increase access to opportunity. And I hope that, through this momentum we have with remote work and opportunities being distributed, that we can continue to take advantage of that here in Bend. I also want to start by saying, there are some questions around what sport and startups have in common. And I would say that I'm a sucker for work ethic. I believe in the value of sweat equity, and the things that I do professionally, I try to rise to the level of the athletes that I have the pleasure of working with. So with that, I want to start with a story. 5 years ago, in the spring of 2016, I found myself in Berlin, in Germany. And if you've ever been to Germany, if you've ever been to Berlin, there's a huge Olympic park, the Olympia Stadium. And this is the Olympic Stadium that was built in 1936 to host the Olympic Games right before World War II, and the site of the very first live TV broadcast that was ever done, which was done from the Olympics. So I traveled to Berlin for a work trip, and I found myself walking into this massive concrete spread that feels very much like a low and drawn out weight of a city, kind of like, a Washington, D.C. or a Beijing, where there's just these iconic towers of architecture and these very heavy sense of just history. And I actually walked right up to this stadium, and then I took a left. And I took a left to walk into the swimming park where the national German Olympians train. And in that swimming park at this time were a number of Syrian refugees who were on the national Syrian swimming team and who had, in the prior year, escaped from Syria and traveled to Germany to seek refugee status. When I walked into the swimming club, I sat down at a cafe and I met a woman named Yusra Mardini, who you might remember seeing as the face of the refugee Olympic team back in 2016 in Rio. And I sat with her and I met her father and her family and I heard their story. And their story is pretty interesting and unique. Yusra at the time was 16. She had a cell phone and was like any teenage girl. I'm there trying to get her to sign a visa sponsorship deal, and she's more interested in her phone and swimming, of course. And she told me her story of what she had been through just a year prior in 2015. And her story at that time was something that was very common among 1 million refugees that had landed in Germany after leaving Syria. And what was amazing, there might be a guest speaker in the background, a 3-year-old who really wants to say hi. What was amazing about Yusra's journey is the welcoming nature that she felt when she got to Germany. Just to give you a sense of her story, she left Syria in the summer of 2015 with her sister Sarah, who's 2 years older, and it was just the two of them, the two 16 and 18-year-old girls. Their mother and father and younger sister, who was 5 years old, could only afford to send two people from the family to escape from Syria, and so they chose to send the 2 daughters first. The 2 daughters competed and trained on the national team in Syria, and they told me stories about how when they were training and bombs would fall through where they were training in the swimming pool in Syria before they left. And then when they left Syria, they went on a month-long journey that took them all the way across Europe. And their story was pretty famous for the fact that when they boarded a boat in Turkey, and it was full of 20 people in an inflated boat, and it started sinking as they crossed over into Greece. And so the 2 sisters actually had to swim this boat to shore. Where they had landed in Germany gave them the opportunity to continue swimming. And so Yusra at that time had her eye on competing in Rio. And she was still hoping to qualify. She ended up qualifying a couple months later, and we ended up shooting a commercial with her to talk about her story. And my role at the time was leading Visa's Olympic and Paralympic athlete sponsorships, and we were telling the stories of acceptance, right? A lot of sponsorships will try to bridge these, product benefits that are very rational, like the acceptance of a card, using the ability to pay with a phone or a card, with the emotional benefit of acceptance, right? And so her story was one that we wanted to elevate and talk about what it meant to be accepted. It was an amazing experience to be with her in Rio a couple months later, when she and the other 9 Olympians that she competed with actually walked out with a flag right before Brazil came out during the opening ceremonies. You might remember this moment on TV. And it was just a fantastic experience to be able to provide access to opportunities like sponsorship deals to people who had been through unimaginable things. I want to kind of backtrack from there and share a little bit more about how I got to be in that position of signing the deal and supporting these refugee Olympians. And that story starts in Portland. I was born and raised in Portland in Beaverton, Oregon, just a couple miles from the Nike campus. And I think at the time, I underestimated what my environment kind of contributed in terms of, what I ended up going to do later in life. But as I was growing up, I started babysitting for families. And I remember when I was 13, I babysat for a family where the father was a creative director at Wieden & Kennedy. And you might remember this from the mid-90s, but Tiger Woods was in an ad where he was bouncing a golf ball on a golf club. And this dad I babysat his kids, he showed me a rough cut of this film, and it kind of opened my eyes. I was 13, terrible athlete, like tried every sport under the sun. My dad is a ski race instructor and was like devastated. Like, you'll see me on the bunny slope at Bachelor, but that's about it. But I loved sport. I loved being outside and active and social. And this like was an eye opener to me that you could actually build a career around something that was so positive, and work with people that valued similar things. And so I remember this like moment in my life where I said, you know, I want to do this and I want to be the mom with a job like this, right? And that was like an anchoring moment for me. I ended up graduating from University of Oregon, and then again, undervalued my background in Oregon. And all I wanted to do was get out of Oregon. So I moved out to Connecticut. I worked for a company called Octagon for 4 years, a sports marketing company, where I had the opportunity to consult in sports marketing, and go to a number of international events. And one of which that was on my radar at the time was in 2009, while I was working at Octagon, the Rio 2016 games were awarded to Brazil. So there was this moment on my radar where I knew the World Cup had been awarded in 2014, and in 2016 the games were also going to Brazil. And so I started learning Portuguese. I'm kind of an insatiably curious person and kind of a geek for foreign languages. So I spent the next 7 years learning Portuguese and was able to moved back to the West Coast and worked for Visa for 5 years, where I went to the World Cup in 2014 and led marketing programs for Visa's global campaigns, and then was lucky enough to go back in 2016 and support the Olympic and Paralympic athletes that we sponsored at Visa. And I think, you know, I believe in taking that extra step. You know, learning Portuguese meant that I could go down and I could sit at the table with the Rio organizing committee, and I could actually, you know, not just assume that they would speak my language, but negotiate a contract and give a presentation in their language. And that went like a really long ways towards building relationships. After Rio, I was married the year before, and my husband and I reached a point where we said, we don't have kids yet. This is the time if we want to be selfish. We were still living in San Francisco, but we did a bit of a drop mic, and we traveled until my son was born. And when we got back to San Francisco, we were exploring kind of like that next phase, and I joined a group which I think is a model we should talk about bringing to Bend. It's a group that was called South Park Commons, and this is where my experience in sport really intersected with innovation. So South Park Commons was started by a woman here in the top left, Ruchi, who was the first female engineer at Facebook. She wrote the code for the newsfeed. And then she had a second successful exit after she sold her company to Dropbox pretty early on. And so she started this community called SPC, or South Park Commons, with the mindset of like bringing together, you know, intellectually curious people who wanted to launch their next venture. And it started out really as a community. If you know San Francisco and like the venture scene, there's this tiny little park in the middle of the city called South Park. And it is this like idyllic area where every venture fund is spotted around with a beautiful office. And one of those offices was the office that Ruchi opened, South Park Commons. She brought together some fascinating people, largely engineers that she had worked with, and then started getting into kind of other industries. And her whole mission was about bringing together people to explore and launch, you know, risky ventures. And South Park's model has basically 3 different components. You know, one is this community where people work out of the office. There's talks, there's you know, academic research groups, people writing books and publishing, and then also building and launching companies. But it's a community in a space where people have a long-term ability to kind of plant roots and dig into what they want to do next. The second thing that South Park did is raise a fund. So $60 million fund that actually funds companies that start in the community and also outside of the community, to promote seed stage investments. And that's where I really started getting connected with companies and learning more about angel investing and what it was like to start a company and go from 0 to 1. And where they've taken it is this third category, which is not 0 to 1, but the -1 to 0, which is before you have an idea, before you have a company, they invest in people now in kind of a pre-seed stage, which says, we will give you the bandwidth for a couple of years to explore. And then we believe in you and your track record. We want to help you launch your next venture. So it was a pretty cool model. And while I was at SPC, there were some funny connections back to sport. So you might recognize the person on the left here who's a Bend native. Ashton Eaton was an athlete that I was fortunate to work with at Visa when I was there. And after he retired from sport after Rio, he moved to San Francisco. He and his wife moved down, and he really wanted to get into engineering and the startup scene. So he actually joined South Park Commons. So he gave talks about what it was like to go compete and earn a gold medal versus a world record, and what it was like to actually progress through the slope of becoming the world's best at something versus the slope of, you know, learning something brand new. And he was insatiably curious. And so I think he really relished in this opportunity to learn from people who had started companies and, you know, split off into different fields and had these, you know, transitions in life like he was going through. The other funny thing that happened is we also had an two-time Olympic gold medalist rower, Aaron Cafaro, and Ashton and Aaron would lead these workouts in the middle of South Park. So you can imagine a group of engineers and a group of world-class athletes working out in the middle of this idyllic little park in the middle of San Francisco. At that stage, I started wanting to get back into sport and had the fortune of joining the US Olympic and Paralympic group to do some consulting remote, which meant that I was in a really lucky position to pick where I could live. And at that stage, my husband was also working remote, and we said, if we could live anywhere, where would we be? And I was really excited to have the opportunity to come back to Oregon and to plant roots in Bend. We have 2 little kids now, and my parents live just a mile away with a playground in the middle, and it's the kind of life that we want to give our kids. I look back at my childhood growing up in Oregon and want to give my kids, you know, the same opportunities and the same kind of outdoor experience and community that I had. And so we got here about maybe a year and a half ago now, and the last year has looked a lot like this. If you guys have small kids, you might know that this looks pretty familiar. We have a 3-year-old and then now a 6-month-old baby. But I do want to just share three of the things I've been working on since I did come back to Bend at the times when it doesn't quite look like this. So the first is with the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee. I have helped build and launch a new digital marketplace. And we're basically taking a very manual process, which is going through and sponsoring an athlete, and we've digitized the experience. So we have built what we're calling AMP, and it's a private network where Team USA sponsors can actually go on and search for athletes, contact them, sign a contract digitally, and then actually, you know, submit payment, and payouts go directly to the athletes' bank accounts. So we're taking the friction out of doing these deals, and we're trying to create more opportunity for athletes. So typically the same 10 or 20 athletes get the bulk of the sponsorship deals. As of today, we have 450 athletes registered to this marketplace, and they're starting to see increased revenue opportunities that they didn't have access to before. It's been pretty cool to build this program and take this idea that we had a little over a year ago and like take advantage of the time we had. I think if Tokyo hadn't been delayed, this would have been a lot harder to do, but we've tried to lean into this extra time with the 1-year delay of the Tokyo Games and build tools that can bring value to both sponsors and to athletes. The other thing that a good friend and mentor convinced me to do over the last year was write a book, which might sound a little bit crazy, but you know, during COVID times, I've really been craving, you know, making local connections and meeting new people. And so what we did is we actually wrote a book on 19 people who have a physical disability. And for me, one out of every 3 athletes that I work with has a physical disability. Between the Olympians and the Paralympians, there's a little over 30% of athletes who have a disability. And so we wrote a book that includes profiles of their stories and their lives. And the motivation was, for me, really, you know, curiosity to learn more about their experiences. And in the process, I think I've been shocked at how much I've learned and how little I really knew before, even though I've worked with a number of Paralympians. So this book is coming out this summer, and we're publishing with Gillette Children's Healthcare, which is a children's hospital. And the goal here is really like twofold. You know, one is for children and young adults who are diagnosed with a physical disability. We hope that this is a book that shows them what's possible. You know, we've interviewed people like Judy Heumann, who was in the movie Crip Camp on Netflix, Ellie Cole, who was part of another Netflix film called Rising Phoenix. You know, we interviewed Jessica Long, who was the face of the Toyota Paralympic ad that displayed at the Super Bowl this year. And we told their stories about what it was like to grow up with a physical disability, and then what it was like to achieve great things in their lives and kind of overcome this stigma. What we found in writing this book is that the numbers and access to opportunity is pretty shocking. These are people without a cognitive disability, purely physical disability. And when you look at the numbers, unemployment rates are double those of a physically abled population, and marriage and childhood rates are also just 1/3 of a physically abled population. And yet the only thing that is contributing to that is stigma. And so the second hope of our book is that we will help change people's minds. What we found is that people are quite often putting people with a physical disability into one of two camps, either inspirational or pitied. And one of the people we interviewed put it really well and said, if you wear glasses, or if you wear contacts, you're not inspirational for having vision that is different than somebody else. And I don't feel bad for you, right? You have tools that can help you to see like other people see. And every person we interviewed across the spectrum of disabilities said the same thing, which is, I am not inspirational for having a disability. I am inspirational for what I do with my disability and what I do with the cards I'm dealt in life. And so we hope, and I have to say my experience in marketing has opened my eyes into the ways to tell stories about people. And I hope that this book helps open people's eyes to what is possible and how people would like to be perceived and have their stories told. The last thing that I'll share is that I also had the fortune of meeting a woman who I think a lot of you know, Kate Delhagen, who is a former Nike executive. And I read an article about her a year ago. Because of my background working with startups at South Park Commons, I shot her an email and we got on the phone that night last year. And I joined this group called Oregon Sports Angels. And for me, it's been a wonderful way to learn more about the startup scene here in Oregon and then nationally with sports companies, and also get to know other angel investors here in Oregon. I think one of the companies, Biomodem, actually came and won a pitch day here with EdCo. But it's been a really fantastic group to work with, and I've really appreciated that opportunity. I think what I've learned in working with startups and athletes is, that there's a number of philosophies that apply to both. One of my favorites, and when I hire people, is that, I hire for slope, not y-intercept, right? This idea that I want to look for people and invest in people based on the trajectory, not just where they are starting from. I also really believe in what I said at the beginning, which is, while talent is equally distributed, opportunity has not historically been equally distributed. And I'm a big believer in, through startups and through sports, there are opportunities to better distribute those opportunities to everybody. And I think we are at a stage where there's this wonderful momentum behind remote work and distributed access. And I hope, that I can be part of that, and that all of us can help continue to bring those opportunities to Bend. So with that, I'll say thank you and look forward to answering some questions.
Thank you so much, Kara. It's just awesome to learn more about your story. And I'm sure that we do have some questions in the audience. Anyone who wants to kick it off? Well, I guess I have a question. How did you like writing your book?
It was fun. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. We actually did some, we interviewed everybody on Zoom, did a recording, and so we had a transcript for all the interviews. And so there were a few hacks that helped a lot, like technology. I think my favorite part was just meeting fascinating people. That was great.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And any questions from the audience? Do I have any questions in the theater?
Yep, we have one in the theater.
Okay.
Hey, Kara, this is Justin Coates. You can find me on LinkedIn. I loved your story. I thought it was awesome. Hearing your passion, working with professional athletes must have been amazing. You are also a professional. It takes grit, it takes time, and it's amazing. I am starting an esport organization, and I didn't hear you talk much about League of Legends and your time there.
Yeah.
How difficult would it be for me to get a conversation with you over coffee sometime?
I am happy to. I'm, yeah, I'm coming up on second vaccine, so once that's clear, then yeah, I'm happy to. And
Hey, me too. I get mine on Sunday.
What's that?
I get mine on Sunday.
Nice. I also kind of wanted to like focus a little bit. I joined a board at League of Legends parent company Riot Games to look at how esports is structured globally and how you can take like learnings from sport to the way that esports are structured. So I think that's what you're asking about, and I'd be happy to chat.
That would be amazing. How can I reach you?
LinkedIn is probably a great spot.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Justin. All right, any other questions from the audience for Kara tonight? Aaron, anybody online asking questions? Kara, what's been your favorite part of your work? What's been your favorite thing that you've done so far?
I think working with the Refugee Olympians would be up there. That was a pretty amazing experience to tie together like impact with sport. They're amazing people, and like any one of us could be in their situation, and it opened my eyes to like kind of the way that things are perceived versus the way that people are, right? And I think we see that on the southern border now with the U.S., where I think there's a perception versus a reality of what's going on our border, and to hear how wonderful it was for people to feel like they could get to a place that was safe. I think that meant a lot. And then to have that moment of like celebration where refugees were watching each other around the world, that was pretty cool.
Right, I imagine these are like the types of experiences you have that you can't unhave, right? This changes you forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, how amazing. Aaron, yes. What is next for you, Kara?
Tokyo is coming up this summer. That is probably the next thing on my radar. Beijing is 6 months after that for the Winter Olympics, so that's coming up fast.
That is so exciting. No big deal. It's just going to the Olympics, you know? It's not really...
We'll see. We'll see who goes.
Right.
Yeah. Athletes are definitely going. That's for sure.
Well, I hope you get the experience that you're hoping for. Do I have any other questions? I don't want to leave anybody behind. Aaron, anything from online? So you've already done so much. What is your dream job, Kara?
This working on the Olympics has been my dream job. I feel very lucky to do that. I think a lot about like systems changes, and I think I'm also motivated by things that I see that frustrate me. So I don't know what's next, but I like changing systems, and I would love to change some big systems like healthcare in the U.S., things like that. I don't know what that looks like down the road, but I think there's a potential for some improvement.
Oh, there's definitely some potential for some improvement. Yeah. Absolutely. That's a safe thing. Lots of opportunity, I like to say. Would you ever go into politics?
Maybe. Like, who knows? I don't know. I love people. I love working on hard problems. I'm married to an engineer who in his vows said, you're my favorite person to solve problems with, which if you're an engineer, that like means a lot. But I hope to keep working on hard problems and hope to do them here in Bend.
Well, I have to break it to you. I think the average is if people ask you 7 times to run for office, then you'll run. So that's one. And the next time I see you, I'm going to ask again. I think you'd be great. I love that you're seeing the opportunities in every possible place that they might exist. And I really commend you, and I enjoyed your talk very much. So we do have a gift for you. This is our tradition. This is a PubTalk ginormous glass mug. I guess we call it a Stein? Tanker. So we're going to get this to you, Kara, and then you can bring it back, and Brian will fill it up for you at a future PubTalk. And it was just such an honor and a pleasure to have you. I'm so glad that you all ended up in Bend, and I hope that transition is going really well for you. And please stay in touch with us. It was wonderful to have you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So thank you so much for being with us here tonight. It's such a pleasure. truly. A reminder that EdCo's luncheon, annual luncheon, is set for May 6th. So more about international keynote and author Tim Harford can be found on the EdCo events page. Reserve your tickets while they last. They are going fast. We'll be back at it with another Pub Talk event on May 27th here at McMenamins. Stay safe, be happy, pay your taxes next month, and we'll see you again in a few weeks. Thanks for having me. I'm Shannon Kelly.